No, episode. American Hammers TV episode 9, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
It's episode 9 already. I'm getting so sidetracked there. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody. Here we have a special guest tonight, but for us all, I'm here with Lee as always. What's happening, Lee?
I've upgraded the studio. Check it out. I've upgraded the studio.
Looks fantastic. Looks gorgeous.
Not bad, huh?
Cannot go wrong with that, man. So you got the flag back from the school here.
I did. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I would have said. Tonight we have Kyle from Fresno Irons, which is awesome because they have a massive presence in social media, which is great to see amongst supporters groups. I consider them one of the top supporters groups for West Ham in the country because of that such presence. So it's nice to see that they take it, it's fun, but they also take it kind of seriously, which I would love to see the rest of the groups out there, and any of you looking to start a group, take some notes, from Dallas and New York City and Columbus and all the other groups that we've had on. So, Kyle, what's happening, man?
Not a lot. First off, I want to say it warms my heart that you think we're such an amazing group. Thank you very much. But honestly, you guys are doing the legwork right now, and I've watched every episode, and I got to tell you, I love what you guys are doing. I absolutely think this is beautiful, and big shout out to the Oklahoma City Hammers guy. I love the fact that he's working his butt off. Yes, they only have 3, but that's the fun time of building a group, is when it's small, you're finding your niche. So big shout out to those guys, and next time I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, I may make the 3-hour trip to Oklahoma City to hang out with those guys.
Yeah, I should mention for everybody who's watching that Kyle is obviously a gentleman of taste and distinction. like me, he is a native Texan. So like me, he's displaced himself for many various reasons, as I have for the last 22 years. But yeah, so when they say form is temporary and class is permanent, and for us native Texans, that's always true. So yeah, we're super happy to have you on, Kyle. And we were talking before we came on. Over the years, I have had a lot of fun with people from Fresno in different situations. When I lived in Europe, I went out, had a night at the bar with some kids from Fresno State who just happened to be there. We had the best time. So even though I haven't been to Fresno, I have very, very good impressions of the place. And anybody who gets a bar to open at 4:30 in the morning to watch West Ham is a personal hero of mine. So tell us, maybe just start by telling us about this place where you go. And I mean, even on the normal days, they're opening at 7 a.m. for you. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it always cracks me up when I get on social media and I'll see the East Coast groups like, Boston, any group out of Florida, or any and even the New York City Hammers, they'll make a post, hey guys, we got an early one, 7:30 a.m. And me and my group, we always laugh because we're like, you don't know what early is, because 4:30 a.m. and getting a bar to commit to us and has been an absolute dream come true. That the fact that every match we have watched, every 4:30 match that West Ham's ever had since we've started, we've been there. And our last one was against Manchester United. I believe it was Man U. There may have been one before there, but we had about 45 people at the game at 4:30 a.m. and they can't even serve alcohol. So it tells you how much we love the group. The group is a big deal.
It's too early to serve alcohol at 4:30 in the morning.
And California, man, we can't drink till 6 a.m. So,
well,
you said that you were singing out there about 4:30 in the morning. I was asking you how the police felt about that.
Well, so I'm going to start kind of telling you guys this. Fresno is a very unique community, and the soccer community out here is highly competitive. So to kind of explain to you what's kind of happened and how everything evolved, we used to have a PDL team, which is like below USL.
Yep.
We had a PDL side called the Fresno Fuego. And they were kind of a muttering around team. And as much as it pains me to say it, I've got to give props to my friend Jordan. He actually runs the Fresno Gooners, which is the Arsenal chapter out here. And he actually won Arsenal Fan of the Year in England and got to go to a game and everything. So I kind of learned the ropes of a group through him. And so Fresno kind of already had this soccer, how do you want to say that? Kind of had this soccer aura about it. And so we started a supporters group for the Fresno Fuego called the Fire Squad. And the Fire Squad, it started with like 10 of us. By the end, we were over 500 people. And because of that, what we did, the USL awarded us a franchise called Fresno FC. So now, because of our supporter group, we have Fresno FC. Translate that into what's now called 559 FC. That is basically everybody in Fresno that loves soccer, they follow this page. That's kind of where a lot of the groups got linked up, and that's where the competition comes in. Because for 2 years, I thought I was the only West Ham fan in all of Fresno. And then I used to go to the Arsenal bar to watch West Ham Arsenal, and I was the only one there. I'll never forget the last year at the Bowl Inn. Remember we beat them 2-0 opening game?
Yes.
Let's just say I was the only West Ham fan in there, and they hated me.
That was Mark Noble's little smirk after in his press conference that he gave a little, he gave a little smirk. Yeah, that was a memorable one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. And then I met one of the, we all kind of support each other out here. Like everybody kind of goes to everybody's bars. So one of the Chelsea guys who runs the Central Valley Blues, which is the Chelsea supporter group out here, he invited me to the West Ham Chelsea match. And so a couple weeks later go by, and I walk in, and there's this guy standing in the corner wearing a West Ham Doc Martens kit. So I'm excited. I go over I meet this guy named Steve, who we now call the Godfather, because he is kind of one of our older members, and he's still good looking. So Steve, if you're watching, you're still good looking. But he and we kind of decided we're just going to go around and be West Ham trolls and just go to everybody's bar and invade them. And then we go to the Liverpool FA Cup match that week, and then this guy walks in with a handlebar mustache, and he's wearing a West Ham kit. Next thing I know, we've got 3. So his best friend owned a burger joint out here called Bulldog Burger Bistro right across from Fresno State. And so he gave us the key, and we just went in there and did honor system on beers, and we were watching the games. And then I invited my buddy Philip. There was only 4 of us for a long time. And then that's kind of how it all began. So we're one of the groups that we've never had to share a bar, which has been kind of nice. We've always had our own spot everywhere we've gone. But now, we kept growing, and now we're at Full Circle Brewing Company in downtown Fresno, and they love us so much that they brewed this lovely thing called the West Hammer Ale.
Love it.
So, yeah, I gotta send you boys some. Next time I'm on, we'll crack one.
Yes.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. So you guys started growing as a group without necessarily even hitting like social media. You just started like showing up, and more people were who were West Ham.
Yeah, it's weird. Fresno is this unique soccer community that the fandom here, we got a USL side, and it's crazy. Now the Fresno FC games are the highlight of everybody's weekend. So we all unite under that Fresno FC banner. We're all Fresno FC fans. Go Foxes! But the weird thing is, like, we all support each other. It's this weird kind of dynamic we have in 559C. We have good banter back and forth. We love to sit there and tell each other whose group's the best. But it's really, we're all the same. I'm going to tell you West Ham, our group, the Fresno Irons, is the best. But, my buddy who runs the Barcelona group, he's a phenomenal guy. The Fresno Gooners, they have more followers on social media than any of us. And they're famous in the Arsenal circles. So it's kind of unique. We don't really have, obviously we're not English. We don't have a lot of English guys in our group. Actually, we've only got one, and he's a former West Ham player, believe it or not. And so it's kind of it's just a unique culture that we've developed out here, and we have good banter back and forth. We travel, we support each other's bars. We do something called away days. So like if West Ham's on the road playing, the Spurs, we'll go to the Tottenham bar and we'll chop it up with them. And I know you hate Tottenham.
Yeah.
We all hate Tottenham. Yeah.
You would love coming with us because we out-sing anybody. We're the loudest group of guys, so I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, there's no West Ham always out-sings everybody. There's never a doubt about that. I think wherever we all go, we do that.
I love hearing that, though. I love hearing that, you're not the only group that does that. But also select few so far that we've spoken with actually goes and does away days. But that sounds so much fun. It also sounds like a great way to meet other people, because there might have been some potential neutrals or potential West Ham fans lingering around, the Tottenham bar or
that's a big way we grew, is people just kind of like us.
Yeah.
And so I remember we had a guy who said he was a Manchester United fan, and then he started, for some reason, just showing up to our bars, and then he bought a West Ham kit, and now he's West Ham. So
yeah, what? You converted him.
Yeah, I mean, we're the kind of group, like, we'll play Liverpool, and obviously the Liverpool group right now officially is probably the biggest in Fresno. They probably get about 25 to 30 every match, and we're more around 15 to 20. But we're probably the second biggest, right behind them, which is crazy that West Ham is the second biggest group. But it's kind of funny because we'll play Liverpool and they'll browbeat us. They'll beat us 4-1, 5-0. I mean, you've seen the games. Yeah. And, once we get to a certain point, we just start singing every song that we know, because we're just not going to shut up. So we'll sing "We Lose Every Week." We'll sing Little Macaco's song. We'll sing, "Come On You Irons." We'll do the whole 9 yards. And it's so funny to watch Liverpool guys, because they literally only can sing one song, and that's "You Never Walk Alone." Yeah. That's all they'll sing. And so we always just troll. You might beat us, but we're going to win the singing contest.
That is very, very West Ham. That reminds me of watching West Ham games, particularly away games where we're getting taunted and fans are doing a conga line, in the stadium. West Ham fans are doing a conga line in the stadium, because why not, right?
Yeah, you got to have fun. It's a game, right? You got to have fun with it. Right. Nobody's life's going to change if we win a game. Nobody's life's going to change if we lose a game. But my God, we can be passionate and have fun and drink some beers and fellowship a little bit, right?
Which is sometimes all you get when you're West Ham. You're going to have to pay the bills for therapy for that guy who stopped supporting Manchester United to come support us. But you're going to owe him something, I guess. But so it's an actual brewery. So you go to the brewery for West Ham home games, and it's your pub then, or it's your space. It's not like you're sharing it with anybody else.
Yeah. So what happened was the Bulldog Burger Bistro got sold, and the new owner didn't want to open up early for us. So we had to shift, and we all kind of went out. There's 4 of us that really run the group. Me, the Godfather, my buddy Gooch, who's the original one that had the handlebar mustache, and then my buddy Philip. And so the 4 of us kind of run the group. We all share the responsibility. So what happened was we all had to go out and find a bar. Now, I'm a beer snob, so I'm not going to lie. I'm the worst person to go drink beer with, because I'm going to tell you what it tastes like, and if it's crap, I'm going to tell you it's crap.
Yep.
So there was a brewery in downtown called Full Circle that had a bad reputation, but I went there and they had this common style ale that I was all about at the time, and I was trying to get my group to go, and everybody in the group's like, I'm not going down there. Just so you know, Full Circle Brewing is in a very bad part of town of Fresno, but it's got great people that fill it, so you don't really realize how bad it is. So people really didn't want to go down to that area of Fresno, but I kept pushing for it. So we tried another bar, didn't really work out, and I finally got them to go. And our first game, we were there. The bartender walked over to me at the end of the game and goes, "Man, you guys are a lot of fun." And so that right there kind of made me feel like this is home now. And so what's kind of happened is we kind of grew into it, and they just really bought in. All the bartenders are West Ham fans now. The owner of the bar is a West Ham fan. He brings his kids to the games sometimes, which is one thing that's unique about the Fresno Irons. We're very family oriented. If you look we have kids running around. We probably have 10 to 12 kids every game running around having a good time. And so we own a bubble machine. So anytime we score, we set the bubbles off, and part of the funny thing is watching the kids dance in the bubbles.
Of course, yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if you said you'd seen our other episodes. I think it was
Columbus.
Tim, what was his name from Columbus?
Kevin.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin from Columbus. He brings a bubble machine to away pubs.
That's nuts.
Yeah. He goes to
I love that.
He goes like the Tottenham pub, and he's got a bubble machine under his coat, and he whips it out when he gets there, and he starts letting loose the bubbles in somebody else's pub. So I love.
Don't worry, we take ours everywhere too.
That's awesome, man.
I think it's fantastic. I mean, you guys are excellent on social media. I see your posts all the time on Instagram, Twitter. Have you been able to use social media to kind of grow your group? I mean, have you brought people in that way, or is it mainly just a way to keep everybody, updated on what's going on?
So I didn't have delusions of grandeur. Like, I know West Ham is not a popular team to root for, but I'm a Kansas City Chief fan in the NFL. So I'm more attracted to fan bases and passion. And when I was searching for a team, it's kind of like West Ham found me. I didn't find them.
Yes.
The best way I can describe it to you. And so really social media for us, what we've tried to do is I mentioned it earlier, out here in Fresno, it's highly competitive. So if you're going to be on social media and compete with these other Fresno groups, your stuff has to look good. So I'm not saying that is the case with every group, but I think every city's individual on how it operates and what's going to work for that city. But out here in Fresno, it's a highly competitive soccer culture out here. And so we always try to, I want my graphics to look good because I don't want people to sit there and think they look like crap. So we try to social media was never started for us, I think, to gain more members. It was more to keep people informed. But what's funny is the social media thing, like we've had people drive all the way down from Sacramento to hang out with us, all the way up from Bakersfield. We have a guy right now, his name's David, former hockey player, love the dude. He's actually going to come up tomorrow night and stay the night so that he can just make it to our match in the morning because Bakersfield's about 120 miles south of us. So he's coming up and getting a hotel room or going to stay with one of us and come to the match. And he's the one, I don't know if you've seen our post, he's the one with the really good-looking bulldog that he puts in the
Yeah.
Yeah, so he comes up. It's kind of a unique thing, but I don't think I ever had the mentality to start it with recruiting. To me, it was more to keep people informed, and I've always felt if your stuff looks good, people will notice. So that's what I was trying to do. You got to stick out. You got to peacock a little bit. Like when you're talking to women, you got to peacock a little bit.
Now, can you get anything from Full Circle here in Mass or in the rest of the country? Is that a brewery that has expanded nationally yet?
So here's what's funny. The only beer that we've I don't know how it ended up there. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Somehow, some way, beer ended up all over the country. I don't know how. Might want to contact me and maybe I'll have some more answers. But
okay.
Well, what's funny is they made the West Ham Ale, and they just made it to say, hey, thank you for all you guys do, because we've brought a lot of people into their bar. They fly our flag there. They fly a big giant West Ham flag for every game. So they've done a lot for us. But that West Ham Ale, somehow, some way, I don't know what happened, but it's made it all the way to England. But really, from a transport right now, we're pretty much just centered in California. But I know a few magicians, so if you I'm gonna be able to help you out.
And now Fresno is how big a city is Fresno?
We are the 5th largest city in California.
Wow. So several 100,000 people, I would think, or
closer to 600,000.
Okay, so that's actually, believe it or not, that's actually the size of the city of Boston. The greater Boston area is like 4 or 5 million people, but Boston itself is only about 600,000 people. So that's actually pretty big. Well, it's about Fort Worth, right? It's about the size of Fort Worth. So
say that one more time.
It's about the size of Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's a little smaller than Fort Worth, but I try to tell people that have been to Texas, Fresno is Fort Worth with palm trees, man.
Well, I was going to say, now, so you guys are in one of the valleys, right?
Yeah, we're in the Central Valley.
Central Valley. And it's my impression of Fresno is that it's pretty blue collar. I don't know, but it's like a lot of agriculture, I think, a lot of, Yeah,
very much so. We are we're a blue collar town. I'm a high school teacher out here. The high school I teach at's inner city. We're 98% free or reduced lunch. So that kind of gives you a mentality of where Fresno is, but high ag, high blue collar. We have our fancy part. That's North Fresno. I'm not allowed up there anymore because I'm West Ham, still.
It seems like a good place for there to be West Ham fans, because if anybody understands the roots of the club and the fan base of the club, I mean, the West Ham fan base is a very blue collar, East London, sort of like earthy, fan base. So I would think that maybe people in Fresno might like relate to that a little bit, maybe more so than some places around here, for instance.
It's strange. We're market wise, we're a Bay Area, so we get a lot of Raiders, we get a lot of San Francisco Giants, Golden State Warriors. So really, that's kind of where the media market lies, which is not Fresno. The Bay Area is very, very rich, and so it's not really our style. But it's kind of, all our fans are from all different walks of life. We've got people from all over, all different tastes, and it's just kind of funny. Some of the fans are Raider fans, and I'm a Chief fan, so we argue on that because that's a rival, but we unite under the West Ham flag. So I'll take a picture with them. I just choose not to think about the Raider part, but it's really just a unique thing. I listen to you guys all the time, and one question that you always ask is, how to grow a group. And I think the best advice that I would be able to tell you is it's kind of like teaching in a classroom. You've got to know those kids, and you got to know that the way that culture is operating for you to understand how it works. Because what may work in Fresno is not going to work in Kansas City, Missouri. It's not going to work in Boston, but it might. It's just always understanding how your group operates. I've been to a few other West Ham groups when I'm traveling and stuff, and some of them don't sing. They're not singers. That's not their thing. And then some of them, they don't stop singing from the moment the game kicks off till the very end. Fresno probably kind of falls in the middle. So that's just
one thing that you mentioned earlier, and one thing that I tend to praise every single week is the fact that I believe that there's a lot more West Ham fans than we realize. He's more pessimistic when it comes down to that, I guess.
I think
but just like Kyle was saying, how originally he said that he didn't think that he'd see anybody, or he didn't think there was any other West Ham fans in the Fresno area. And look at them. Look what happened. He just went from bar to bar, and through that and social media and everything else, people started to come out of the woodworks. I mean, they came to him pretty much, or he discovered them. And my point is, he never would have thought that, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, would never have thought that the amount of people that he has going to the games right now, he never thought they probably existed. My point. And same thing with all the other groups in all the other cities. And there's also, say Sacramento, for example. You mentioned Sacramento earlier. There probably is a lot more West Ham fans up there than the person that comes down from Sacramento even realizes, because he's not the one going out and searching those people. You know what I mean? I'm thinking that there's a lot more than we realize, a lot more. And that's the mission of this show, is to find those people, to unite them with everybody, to have them start their own supporters groups and do what Kyle's doing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, even look, Tim and I know each other because I used to run a West Ham blog, which I don't do anymore, but that's how he found me. And we live a couple miles from each other. I wouldn't have known he existed otherwise. And, we've got a couple of other people in this area. We've kind of, semi-recruited into a group. But yeah, no, I do think you're right. I think your numbers, or maybe, Tim, your numbers that you think exist are maybe a little higher than what I do. But I do think there are West Ham fans out there we don't know about yet and we haven't found yet. And, again, that's what we're doing, is trying to find them. And I love the fact, Kyle, that you guys just had people start showing up. I think that's great, I mean, it's like, if you build it, they will come, to quote that really kind of awful movie.
But also the point of the show too is so that people from the other supporters groups, if they vacation to Fresno now or near Fresno, they know where they can go for a drink and a match. By the way,
guys, if you guys want to travel out here, Yosemite's right in our backyard. We got Sequoia National Forest.
We were talking about that earlier.
Come on out, guys. Come on out.
I would love to. I would.
All this snow that's outside this house.
Yeah, it is. Well, I can tell you it's probably it's 20 degrees outside right now. It's 20 degrees, and that's the warmest it's been all day.
and you say palm trees three times, and I'll click my heels. I'll be there in 1 second, man. I love palm trees.
Yeah, we have snowbanks. We don't really have palm trees. We have snowbanks.
So
before we started, before we went on live, Kyle, you were mentioning how you You played American football, as we have to call it now, at high school in Texas, which, you know, is serious. That's, if you played in Texas, that's a big deal. A little bit in college too. How'd you get into you know, actual football, global football, and how'd you get into West Ham?
So when I was in high school, that was the time that the United States men's national team had their best ever run in the World Cup since like way back in the 40s.
So that was 2002.
Yeah, we lost to Germany in I think the quarters.
Yes, we did.
And so my mom thought it was crazy, but I was getting up every night, you know, at like 3 in the morning whenever those games were kicking off in Texas, and I was watching the game, and that was when Landon Donovan was doing his thing, and I just really kind of fell in love with the game and like the passion, like how much a goal meant to those guys. And I was like, in my head, I was like, you know, you score a touchdown, I don't really act that way, but man, that goal meant the world to that dude. And so that's kind of where I started to appreciate football. That's kind of where it started. Fast forward, I came out here to Fresno, and I was a soccer fan, but here's how West Ham happened. I used to play FIFA all the time, and you could hit a little button on the side that would play random. Well, one time I got West Ham United, and I didn't know jack crap about them. I'm not going to act like I did. But I played with them. I had this player on the game named Carlton Cole.
There you go.
And now I know who Cole is, but it's
Tim has met him. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God, Tim, I'm so jealous.
I am too.
But I literally used to just do this to people, and I would destroy all my friends. I would send crosses into the box, and Carlton Cole would head them in, and they would sit there and yell and say, Carlton Cole's not that good. And I go, when he's with me, he's always there. So that's how I kind of got into West Ham. And then we turned the game off one time. I was sitting at my buddy's house, and he was kind of a Chelsea supporter because he likes Drogba, and he was trying to get me into it. And I was watching the game. So it was the last game of the Premier League season. West Ham had to win to stay up. They were playing Chelsea, and they lost 3-0. And Didier Drogba did some type of weird celebration, and Mark Noble, who was young at the time, got in Drogba's face. And I'll never forget the look on Noble's face. And I went, whoever that guy is, I want to root for his team, because that right there showed me, like, I don't give a crap if you beat us, but you're not going to disrespect us.
Yeah.
And I absolutely fell in love with West Ham at that moment. Ever since then, I have been West Ham till I die. I love this club. I don't care if we're relegated down to League Two. I'm still going to watch every week, whether it's on some seedy feed that I have to find on some website that my computer doesn't work afterwards. So, yeah, so that's kind of my West Ham story and how it all kind of went down.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love hearing, that's my favorite part of the show. And thank you, Lee, for bringing that up too, because yeah, I love hearing the different stories. It's all different. Everything about it. Every person that comes on here says something completely different.
Yeah.
Well, I just tell people all the time. I tell people all the time when they ask me why I'm West Ham. It's a simple answer, guys. I'm a good person, so I root for a good team. You know, it's as simple as that. If you're not a good person, you probably root for Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Man City. You know, those are people that don't know.
You have a heart and a soul, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm a good person. Look, I tell people all the time, God is a West Ham fan. You know how I'll prove it to you? Because he's clearly just watching the games. He never actually helps us out.
Right.
It's like, leave me alone, God. I'm just going to watch the game.
Well, if you're a Chiefs fan, and that's not been an easy road over the last, you know, in our lifetimes anyway. So I think it helps to kind of have a background cheering for a team that's, you know, not traditionally successful. I mean, I went to TCU, as I mentioned. I grew up a TCU fan in large part, even before I got there, back in the 80s and the early 90s when the team was abysmally bad. So I don't know. There's something to me that's more the fact that anytime we win, it's a big deal. You know, if I talk to friends who support Liverpool, or I worked with a guy who was a big Paris Saint-Germain fan because he was from Paris, to be fair. But, you know, and now that they have all the money, every time they would play, he would say, well, we should win this one. We should win this one. I mean, I don't generally feel that way. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty confident about Cardiff this weekend. But the fact is, anytime West Ham win, it's a big deal and it's a reason to celebrate. And I love that. I love the fact that we can get excited about any game we win. Whereas if you are a fan of a top 6 club, you're supposed to win. It's not really very, it doesn't feel like an accomplishment. It doesn't feel like a big deal or a reason to celebrate.
Which is interesting because that's where we want to be, though.
I know it is, and hopefully we'll get there. But the beauty of it is, and we've talked about this before too here on our show. When we get there, all of us can say we were here before those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were here when we went down. We were here in the championship. We were here when we struggled. We were here when we had to deal with all sorts of bizarre ownership and managers and everything else. We were here like we were in on the ground floor of this thing, and that's one of the reasons I love West Ham. And hopefully someday we'll be able to look back and say, hey, yeah, I remember when we were excited about finishing 7th, instead of winning a title or going to Champions League. But for now, we're here during even now, kind of the leaner times, and I think there's a lot of value in that.
Couldn't agree more. I do want to Tim said something earlier. You got to meet Carlton Cole, and correct me if I'm wrong, you had was it Scott Parker you got to meet as well?
Scott Parker, no.
No. Who's the guy you brought in for the
Jack Collison.
Jack Collison, sorry. Jack Collison. So I love the fact that you've got to meet those two guys. And one thing that's kind of unique about Fresno, and I want to tell you guys this story because this was I had to do a lot of research to figure this out. So obviously, we won the 1964 FA Cup, right? Bobby Moore, Trevor Brooking. Mm-hmm. Well, the goalkeeper on that team was a man named Jim Standen.
Yes.
Jim Standen, believe it or not, lives in Fresno, California. I did not know this. He actually was the goalkeepers coach at Fresno State when we still had a men's soccer team. And so somebody told me that this guy lived in the city. So I had to do all this research. And because the Fresno Irons travel to the different bars, this guy told me, he's like, hey, I work at the country club down the road. There's always this guy in there that's talking about West Ham. He's an older gentleman. And I go, is his name Jim Standen? And he goes, how'd you know? And I go, give him my number. Call me. And the next day I get this call, and he goes, hello, mate. My name's Jim Standen. How are you today? And I was like, oh, my God. That's probably the worst British accent you've ever heard, by the way.
No,
it's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. But I'll never forget, and we are so honored because we invited him out to a game where we played Liverpool, and he came on his birthday. We made him a cake. It blew up on social media. That's probably the first time things blew up. And West Ham United, the club, sent us a jersey that we were they haven't sent it the jersey, but they're going to send him a jersey coming up on his next birthday that we're going to be able to present to him. And so I'm incredibly excited because, as you know, West Ham have had issues honoring their legends.
Yeah.
And, the fact that we have an FA Cup champion in our city, and now he comes probably at least once a month to a game, and he's just like one of the boys now. And we love the man. And after the game, he'll sit and talk to us about Bobby Moore and in the East End. And he knew like the Cray twins, which if you know anything about East London.
Yeah. He's like the Mighty Bulger of the East End at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts that we are so honored to have him as a part of our group. So I wanted to say to Tim that I'm incredibly jealous of the fact that you got to meet Carlton Cole and Jack Collison, but we got Jim Standen.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome, man. Listen, I'm glad that worked out.
Tim brought Jack over for a youth camp that his club ran a couple of years ago. I got to meet Jack Collison when he was over here. He's a fantastic guy. Really, really good guy.
I tell you, if you're a West Ham fan, you're a good person. You mark it down. It's true.
Well, the beauty of it is I had his shirt anyway. I had bought a Jack Collison shirt. And when I went to get his autograph, he just signed his own shirt, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Still so young.
100%, and 100% down to earth, man. I've never met anybody like that. He actually assisted me in getting my my tickets when I went over there for the 2 matches last year. He hooked me up for both games. In the second game, which is the last game of the season last year, he gave me seats. I mean, I was pretty much sitting near the players' wives. Man, I was that close to the friends and family.
Wow.
And I got to meet Tony Conti and who was it, Marlon Harewood and Carlton Cole. They were all up there. It was, inside the luxury box area, which was fantastic. And, the view was amazing. The game, the atmosphere was great because Sam Allardyce was coaching, was managing Everton, and it was lively. And Lanzini scored a goal. We won 3-1 the last home game of the season. That was just fantastic to a shitty season. So, but the atmosphere was fantastic. That's why I was saying I never went to the Bowl-In, but I felt that, the atmosphere was great. I mean, it's a lot better than going to a Revolution game or, but no, even like a Red Sox game or whatever. I mean, the atmosphere, the singing, the chanting, the everything. The only thing that was the problem with West Ham is Stratford. Stratford just sucks. The stadium is fixable. I mean, it was fine from what I like, but I mean, I also didn't go to the bowling ground, so I can't really compare the two. But it's just there's no atmosphere outside of the stadium, and that's what's missing.
So have you been over? Have you been over for a game?
I have been over, but I've never been to a game. At the time I was there, I didn't know much about West Ham.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I missed my opportunity. So I'm hoping to go back. We have some connections at the club with the Fresno Irons. One of our guys went over, and he actually got to take a tour of the stadium and ran into Felipe Anderson and got to take a picture with him.
That's awesome.
So, we have a few connections at the stadium and some people that work there, and they've been incredibly gracious to us. We sent over some stuff to kind of keep them happy with us. So hopefully we can keep that relationship going. But really, that's a credit to Jim Standen. He's helped us out there, and then one of our good our members, the Godfather, who next time you have the Fresno Irons on, I'm gonna try to talk him into do it. He doesn't really like to do interviews, but you got to have him on because he's absolutely brilliant, and he's a relationship guy. So he built strong relationships with those guys at the club, and so he's always been able to help out anybody that goes over that's West Ham.
Yeah, that's our goal, man. That's what we want to do eventually with this. We also want to have all the heads of the different supporters groups, have us all go over together. Or try to get even more people, as many people as we can, to take a big trip over there and watch a game together as American West Ham supporters and show what we can do.
We're going to have to be really, really loud, guys. I'm just warning you because we're already going in and we're American fans. So
no, exactly. But that's what we want, man.
That's what
I think we can do it.
Hey, trust me. One of the coolest things Fresno Irons did is the last year at the Bowl-In, after that season, West Ham went to Seattle for a friendly against the Sounders. Well, 18 of us flew up to Seattle to go to the match. And everybody knew who the Fresno Irons were after that match because we were loud. We were obnoxious.
They didn't know who West Ham was, though. That was a horrible game, man.
Yeah, we didn't do very well, but it was okay. I mean, I remember that was the first time that I learned how to say Faguli, and I kind of wish I did not.
Faguli.
Right.
Martin Samuelson started that game. What was that? Poyet, Gustavo? Is Gustavo Poyet?
Diego Poyet.
Diego Poyet played that game. I mean, it was like 50-50 youngsters.
Andy Carroll started it.
Yeah.
He didn't do my. I mean,
Reese Burke was there. I mean,
yeah. I have to be honest. It was so much fun going to watch West Ham.
100%.
That I didn't really care about the result, but I'll admit that I was a little offended that we didn't really play better than we did because we have a lot of young guys out there.
It was just a warm up, and again, going against the Sounders, they should have definitely put a better team up there to kind of show because basically they're sending out a team. The reason why they do these tours is to grow the fan base,
right?
In said country. And how are you going to grow the fan base when you perform like that? But it is what it is. But like I was saying, I've said this before in one of the episodes. Before I went over to England and watched the West Ham matches, the only European soccer experience that I had was going to Baltimore to where the Ravens play, that stadium, the M&T Bank or whatever it's called. And I watched Liverpool against Tottenham. I didn't say the word. Yeah, and I wore my West Ham shirt. I was staying one hotel away from where Tottenham was staying, and I watched them get all in their bus, and out their bus, and I'm just standing here like this with my West Ham jersey as they're going in, and all these these
should
guys.
Have yelling the shit from Tottenham. Hotman went to Rome to see the Pope.
I would have loved to if I wasn't by myself. I was outnumbered way too much, man.
Yeah.
Way outnumbered. Literally, I was the only one there with the West Ham jersey, but it was Liverpool, and I was rooting for Liverpool, obviously, because Andy Carroll was still with the team at that point. It was that summer break where he ended up signing on loan to West Ham, and I was yelling at him like, "Sign for West Ham, come on, man!" Because there was rumors about him going. He eventually went, and now I'm like, "Shit." I hope I didn't jinx us. But
the man bin of doom doesn't do much anymore.
Yeah, it goes to show you we've upgraded the squad immensely. I mean, even in the last couple of seasons. It's funny, Tim. Do you remember Brazil played Venezuela in a friendly in Foxborough maybe 10 years ago, something like that? So my buddy Steven and I went to the game, and we wore our West Ham claret shirts. And we're sitting in traffic getting to the stadium, and these Brazilians are all yelling at us, honking at us. And we're like, what did we do? Well, I didn't know anything about Venezuela. Venezuela's not really a footballing nation. So we get to the match, and I didn't realize Venezuela wear claret. We look just like Venezuela. They thought we were Venezuela. My buddy Steven is Bulgarian. He's kind of like, he has dark hair. He's got like he's a little dark skinned. I guess he could look Latin, And so they're just giving us all kinds of crap, and I'm like, what? They thought we were from Caracas. So
what do you think about the game coming up, guys?
Oh, I was just going to say, we should talk about Cardiff. Again, I asked this question on Sunday night, and when we had Jared on from Oklahoma. I don't think I can name 5 players who play for Cardiff.
They have a big squad, but there's only 3 that really, are scary. The rest are just garbage.
So they have allowed, I was just looking at this, they have allowed 57 goals this season. I think only 12 have allowed more. They're going obviously they're at the bottom of the table, so that's not a big surprise, right?
So which ones can you name before we ask Kevin which ones can you name? Out of he said 2. You said
I don't think I can name any.
None?
I don't know. If you start, I don't know. I'm not sure off the top of my head, honestly.
The Warlock. Neil Warnock. That's not a player, but
okay, but
that's all they need, right? No. Anyway, Jesus, Kyle, who could you name on that squad?
I think I can actually name 3. I know they got Harry Arter.
Yeah.
I know. I know. They got Harry Arter. They got Bamba, but I heard you told me earlier that he's out.
He's out.
Then
Done for the season.
They've got a forward named Nice or something like that. And the only reason I know his name is because at one time West Ham were linked with him, and so that's the only reason I know that. But that means since we're linked with him, he'll score on us, which sucks. So,
well, he didn't play for us. If he played for us, he'd be guaranteed to score on us.
Yeah, that's true. You are 100% accurate.
Now, I'm looking at the table, and listen. I think we should be aware that Cardiff are in the first relegation spot. They're 2 points behind Southampton. They're by no means are they down. Right? This is not Fulham. This is not Huddersfield. They haven't given up. They're going to be like a wounded animal. I do think we should win this game. I do feel confident about it. But, again, these guys have everything to play for, and it's not necessarily going to be a walk for us. I don't know.
So the thing is, are they still emotional? How do I put it? Is it still an emotional hangover, the whole Salah thing? Is that still in their minds, in their heads, even as players, or do they not give a shit? Does it not matter at all? They pass beyond it. They're trying to unite together. Is that going to work in their favor? That's one of the questions. The other question is, with Saul Bamba, man, he is their leader. 100%. He's Warnock's right-hand man. He's the guy that holds him when he goes to the bathroom. Bamba is like he's a beast in set pieces. He co-leads the team in goals scored, and without him, man, no soul. They're cooked. I'm telling you. They only have 3 people that really scare me. It's what you guys mentioned earlier, Harry Arter. Doesn't really scare me that much. Every time I watch him on TV, he's kind of not, I don't know, all over the place. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But anyway, Bobby Reed, he's the other one, the other co-leading goal scorer. he's something else. But that's the only one. That's why I say technically my prediction would be like 5-1 us, because I say that that one goal will be Bobby Reed, because Bama's out. Their defense is going to be dismantled. And our form is, even since Liverpool, man, our form has been improving tremendously. And that the guys are coming back. The injuries are coming back. So we have a wealth of aggressive, attack-minded players, which is Pellegrini's wheelhouse. That's what he wants to play. And this is the perfect team, a wounded animal, no Bamba. You still get the Salah thing going on, and they've lost 3 on the trot, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're screwed. And, I mean, their necks are below water, obviously.
Well, the Salah thing obviously was a terrible tragedy and awful news that we all heard it. And very sad for that to happen to anybody.
Yes.
And I know it affected the fans at Nantes being the French club he was coming from. That's a really good group of fans. I lived in France for a while. Knew fans of all the French clubs, and that's a great group. So I actually saw Nantes play at PSG one time years ago. So I'm obviously very sad. I mean, to be honest, I would love to see Cardiff stay up, only because it just seems cruel at this point. To have somebody come in who dies in a plane crash, and then on top of that, it's obviously a tragedy. But your best player goes down for the season right at the time when you're trying to stay up. It's the kind of story that, if they could stay up, it'd be kind of a feel good story. I just don't want them to start the path to it this weekend.
Correct. No, and I don't think it will happen.
Yeah,
I don't. I think they'll stay up. I think there's a chance that they'll still stay up, because the teams above them, if you look at their schedules, it's even worse than Cardiff's.
I think we should. I think if we were at London Stadium, we could do a 4 or 5-0 against these guys. I think being away. It's still a difficult place to play. Their fans are crazy. The Welsh fans are known to be crazy. I still think we should have a 3-1 or a 4-1 win. I really do. I think we're going to score some goals. I do. I don't see any way. Defensively, I think they're a shambles. And as you said, with Bamba gone, it's going to be hard for them.
I would,
Kyle.
Yep. All right. Here's where I stand on this. This has been my issue with every manager since Allardyce. Okay. These are the games West Ham should win. And the reason we're not where we want to be is because of this lack of consistency, because of games like this. We call these games in America trap games. So these are those moments where we have to rise. And this is where Pellegrini, to me, makes his money. He's the guy that has to motivate this team to keep them hungry to go out there and win. He has to make them feel like getting that 7th spot in the table is like getting Champions League. He has to make them feel that. Even though they know they don't, it's his job to motivate them. I hate playing teams in the relegation fight because they will literally – it's like fighting somebody that has nothing to lose. They're going to throw whatever they can at you, the kitchen sink. They're going to bite, claw, twist, pinch. They're going to do whatever they have to do. And West Ham have to understand that this is what I've always said. When you play a team like that, you have to be willing to abandon the tactics to do whatever's necessary to win the match. And sometimes Pellegrini, this season, he hasn't done it a lot, but this season he's tried to stay true to what he wants to do when it's not working. And we can't, like, case in point, against Wolves when they browbeat us this last game. The tactic should have changed in the 20th minute.
Yep.
You throw it out, you change it because it's not working, but he stayed true to what he wanted to do, and he kept allowing Wolves those opportunities, and then we were out of the game by the time we were making subs trying to get back into it. So when I look at this game, if I'm telling you how I think it's going to go, this is the typical West Ham way. I think we have a more than better shot to lose it. I see a 2-1 win, and I see them scoring first. And I see them scoring first to light the fire under West Ham. And then we go out, and I'm telling you now, mark my words, I'm telling you, Lanzini's going to have a brace. He's getting 2.
I think he's due to score. I do. But listen, I understand what you're saying, and I agree. If you look at Burnley, if you look at Bournemouth, I think Bournemouth Wolves was a disaster. Bournemouth a couple months ago, again, a better team than Cardiff, obviously, but one of those games, even though it was away, no reason we should perform the way we did. We were awful. We lost 2-0. We were never in that match. you know, this is the type of match, as you said, it wouldn't shock me if we lost 1-0. It wouldn't shock me if we lost 2-1, because for whatever reason, we're inconsistent. We seem to do the West Ham thing and get up to play the bigger clubs, come out flat against these clubs that we think we should beat that are in the relegation zone. The thing that encourages me, and the reason I have, I don't tend to be an optimist, especially about West Ham. The thing that encourages me is we have so many players back. We do have Lanzini back. He's rounding into form. Ogbonna and Diop have really solidified their partnership in central defense, I think. Cresswell's available for this match. Although I thought Masuaki was fine when he came in last week. Health-wise, we're going to be able to, I don't know who we're going with up front, but we're going to have both Arnautovic and Chicharito presumably healthy. And Chicha's been playing better the last couple of weeks. I just don't think we're going to be caught out with players in positions where we just don't want those players. I think we're pretty solid top to bottom now, the way that we weren't. We had a lot of injury problems, 2 months ago. So I feel as though we can fill out a good starting 11. I think if we need to bring impact subs off the bench, you could bring in, I don't know.
Overwhelm them.
Well, you
overwhelm them too much.
Snodgrass or an Antonio, one of the two. If Felipe Anderson and Lanzini, and I thought Felipe Anderson was a little off against Newcastle, to be honest, but I thought his first touch let him down a little bit. But if Felipe,
they're talking about putting him over there. They're talking about putting Lanzini, Anderson, and Antonio.
Yeah, I don't think they can stop.
Chicha up top.
I don't think they can stop that, and I think
at all.
I personally think that Pellegrini has handled the Arnautovic thing extremely well.
Yeah,
basically punishing him, saying you're going to come off the bench if you're going to play. What you've seen is the other players respect that, and I think Arnautovic has actually gotten better in the last couple of weeks because I think
he's a proper bastard. He wants his job back.
That's right. He has to earn his spot back. Pellegrini didn't just say walk back into the first team, right? He didn't say walk back into the starting 11. No, you've got to earn your spot back. You jerked us around. Now you got to pay some dues. I think we are so much better now than we were against Wolves or Bournemouth or Brighton or any of those, the games that we lost going back into that time frame before and during the transfer window. I think we're healthier. I think we're more confident. I think Pellegrini is molding this team in his image. Again, nothing with West Ham ever shocks me. All right, nothing ever shocks me. But if I had to put money on this game, I'd put money on a 3-1 or a 4-1 away from home, because I don't think if we're informed that they can actually stop us. I just don't think
at all. And I'm thinking 5-1. I'm thinking a Chicharito hat trick. I'm telling you, because there's going to be 2 penalties because Cardiff is super, super, super physical, and once they're behind and once they're down, they get reckless. Yeah. And I can see for a fact that once they start losing, which is what's going to happen, then they're going to get lazy and sloppy, and then they're going to cause a couple penalties. And
it wouldn't shock me if they scored first, though. I think Kyle's got a point. It wouldn't shock me if they scored first. We saw
they're more but that's the thing. They said 18 out of their 20-something goals are scored in the second half.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean. That's what they've done so far. I mean, I don't know, but I really believe that
everything you're saying just proves, because the West Ham way means it's going to go opposite.
I know.
I think that Lanzini will get a brace of assists for sure. I don't think he'll, I don't know if he'll score a couple goals. I know that he'll be more, especially him, just watching him and Felipe Anderson. And then you talk about Antonio with his pace keeping up there with them. It's just going to be just gorgeous to watch, man.
If they show up.
That's why
if they show up, right?
They're going to show up, man. I'm telling you, I think the tide is turning. If you remember watching the Liverpool match, do you guys remember what the Liverpool match? Like, even though they lost that bullshit penalty and all that shit, like, it was beautiful. I think that now you're starting to see the Man City match, like, even with our substitutes, our shit 11 was out there and they performed against Man City. And then you're talking, the Newcastle match, the first half, they dominated so good. They could have been up 5-0 after the first half. And then they went like this, the second half. They just went on cruise control. Well, instead of taking Lanzini out, putting Nasri in there, just getting some spring in the step, and scoring goals, like go. But
the only concern I have is if they come out against Cardiff the way they came out in the second half against Newcastle, and the way they came out in the second half against Palace, a game that I still think should have won that game. We're up 1-0. We should have won that game. Mm-hmm. If they come out flat to start the game, and Cardiff score first, that's when, if Cardiff get a little bit of confidence and a little bit of breathing room, and listen, I mean, I don't know when Southampton play. I don't know if it's on Saturday or Sunday, if it's the same time or not. I haven't looked, but if Cardiff get a little peak of daylight that they might be out of the relegation zone by the end of the day, they're going to be very hard to beat.
I just don't see it. It's like your best player, your team leader. Well, first of all, the best player that the one that they signed passed away. But anyway, their team leader, their best player, out for the season. That is so demoralizing. Can you imagine what the locker room is going to be like without Bamba in there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm for once in my life, and I mentioned this on another show today, that without, how do I put it? This is the first time in my lifetime that I've been able to be this confident and realistic in my mind that we're going to destroy them. Like, there's no way around it. Everything that I'm looking at on paper, other than our inconsistency history, which is the West Ham way what we're used to. But again, it's a new era, man, and I think that it's finally starting to click. And I think that now this tide has turned. And I think that, man, we're going to kill him. We're going to kill him.
I really want to drink what you're drinking, man. I really do.
I always try to start shit on here.
I've been there where you've been. I've been so confident. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, and maybe I was outlandish. I thought we were going to win the first game of the year against Liverpool. I knew we were going to win, and we got killed. And so, like, I just am very gun shy to go in. I'm with you. I think West Ham win, but I think it's going to be a harder fought battle than you want, because there's nothing worse than a cornered animal. And that's what Cardiff are right now. They're cornered. They see light. What's the most dangerous thing with a team in relegation? Hope. They have hope. They're sitting. They can see it. And that's what scares me. And with everything they've dealt with, you can just hear Warlock in the war room with them going, come on, lads, we can do this. And then you're just like, we talk about this guy. I know y'all love Warlock. Yeah, like, I'm going to tell you right now, if Warlock tells me to run through a wall, I'm probably going to do it.
I would.
Tim loves him. I think he's great.
Love him.
I think he's a great character. I hated the way
I would never love him as our manager, but I love him as a manager. I want him in the Premier League because he's very entertaining.
The thing about Bamba that worries me is, and I'm going to bring up an American sports example here because it's at the top of my mind. The Boston Bruins, our hockey team here, their leading scorer goes down. I don't know how they did tonight. I haven't followed the game, but they haven't lost a game in regulation since their leading scorer went down. So, I mean, sometimes you get that weird situation where the best player on the team goes down and everybody else steps up, and they all play better than they were playing before, and they instead of saying, we'll have Bamba bail us out of this match, they all step up and say, I have to take responsibility now. I can listen with a guy like Warnock managing. I can see it happening. I don't think they should have the quality to contain us, especially if we're in form and we show up and we care and we, Lanzini and Anderson and whoever, Snodgrass or Antonio, whoever's out there, as long as they do, what they've been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I don't think they have the quality to contain us. But I mean, it's one of those weird situations where you have like a relegation struggler, best player goes down, you've had a tragedy happen. I could see them pulling off a great escape and starting it this weekend. It wouldn't shock me at all. I just don't think defensively, if we're in form, they're going to be able to handle us. And it could be one of those things where we go down 1-0, as you said, Kyle. We go down 1-0 and we score, maybe right before halftime. And we get one more in the second half. I don't know, but it's listen. On paper, we should be a much better team. It's just, they don't play the games on paper.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You look at the rosters, there's nobody on their roster that scares you. Even if they're fully healthy, there's nobody on their roster that scares you. You look at our roster, that's a top 7 roster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could make the argument that's a top 6 roster.
Yeah.
But the point is, we got to cash some checks. We have too much talent. We got to start cashing checks. We got to start doing what we're supposed to do on the pitch, and we got to play to the level every time. When you look at teams like Man City, we have quality on our side like Man City do. Not as much, but we have quality on our side like that. But why? What's the difference between them and us? They come out and play every week, and we will lay an egg against Bournemouth or Wolves, and they don't do that.
And I'll tell you this. I mean, look at the table. We're 4 points behind Watford and Wolves, right? Our goal differential is pretty significantly more negative, but we're 4 points behind Watford and Wolves. If I'm not mistaken, they both have pretty tough games this weekend. I think one plays Man City, the other plays Chelsea, but I think they both play top 6 clubs anyway.
Watford plays Man City. Yeah.
Man City. So we know the Premier League will want Man City to win that game to keep the title race going. You know how I feel about that.
Don't even get me started on the Fresno Citizens, man. They just love to tell us how they beat us on some phantom penalty.
And Wolves get Chelsea. Yeah, you're right. Wolves get Chelsea.
Yeah. So Wolves get Chelsea. So we could be. I mean, it's very conceivable that we could be 1 point out of a probable European spot, 7th place, by the end of the weekend. This is a huge opportunity for us. And
with our 5-1 shellacking, we will have our goal differential back.
Well, we have a negative 4 goal differential.
So it'll be 0.
Watford have nil, and Wolves have a positive.
Which they'll be negative once they get smashed by City and Chelsea.
I don't think City will smash them. I don't. I think City will beat them, but I think it'll be like a 1-0 or 2-0. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is, we have a massive opportunity, and City will get a phantom penalty. We already know that. We have a massive opportunity. And I'm sure Pellegrini has sat these players down and he said, look, European football is within our grasp, right? I mean, now we have something to play for. We're not just a mid-table club spinning our wheels until the end of the season. We have something to play for. I'm hoping that's enough to get them motivated so that we come out and we do what we should do, which is overwhelm these guys. We're going to see, we're going to see how much Pellegrini has changed the culture of West Ham, because this typically would be a very losable West Ham game. So we're going to see just what kind of manager he is with this club, because this is one where we should do what we did during the Payet season, during the last Berlin season, when we actually win the most games, and I would think to myself, we should win this. I never think that with West Ham, except when we're in the championship. This is one of those games I think to myself, we should win this. He needs to back that up and follow it up, and so do the players. So we're going to see, we're going to see just how West Ham they really are, I guess.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And I said it in the beginning. It's on Pellegrini. You got to motivate us to go win this game. And if we come out and we browbeat them 5-1, I'm going to be really drunk and really happy on Saturday.
There you go.
Yeah, it's I'm excited about it. But I'm also I get more weirdly nervous about these games than I do when we play the big clubs, right? Because you go into Manchester City, you go to Liverpool, you go into Tottenham with really no expectations. And we have performance like we did against City where, okay, we lost, but it was on a phantom penalty. It was effectively a draw. We played at a standstill. Very happy with that. No expectations. Coming into Cardiff, we expect to win by at least a couple of clear goals. That's when it gets more nerve-wracking than,
I'm going to quote Jim Standen here. Jim Standen loves to tell this story. He'll never forget beating Arsenal 3-0 at Arsenal, and the next week going up and losing to Birmingham 2-0. And just shaking his head going, how the hell does that happen? And he always just looks at me and he goes, West Ham way.
And again, I'm hoping this manager is the transitional manager who pulls us out of that stuff, right?
Yeah. And we have 2 solid home matches coming up after Cardiff, which we've been phenomenal at home this year. Luckily. So that's the Huddersfield and Everton, and then Chelsea and United on the road.
Yeah, April's going to be a tough month for us. April's not a fun month. We also have Tottenham at the end of that month.
April's a little month, and when I looked at the fixtures when they came out back in the summer, I said to myself, we better not be in the relegation zone come April, because April's not a month we're going to have. However, Chelsea are beatable. They're in full crisis mode. They're beatable. Manchester United look incredible right now, unfortunately, and we just don't tend to have much luck at White Hart Lane.
You just got to hope that somebody gets hurt between now and then, because they're playing so many games. I know, with all European competitions and everything like that. So maybe they're just tired. I don't wish an injury on anybody. I'm just saying,
I understand.
Hoping by that point they're worn out.
Well, the big thing for us guys is that they pulled that off against PSG, which keeps them in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So that means if they're still in it by the time they get there, every manager knows it when you're a top 6 manager and you're trying to manage that Champions League side. There's a very real shot they can't put out their best 11 against us for whatever reason. Right. And look, you can only play the people in front of you, right?
Yeah.
So you go out there and you beat that team. I don't care who they have playing. You got to have a squad. And West Ham, we can win that game.
We did beat them at the Olympic Stadium. I know it was when Mourinho was still there and they were in crisis, but we did beat them.
Yeah. Correction. Correction, we destroyed them. Let's say it properly to let every Man United fan possibly watching what really happened that game.
Yeah.
No, listen, can you imagine doing the double over Manchester United? I mean, it's not impossible, that's all I'm saying. I think it's unlikely, but
just like
right.
It's mathematically possible to win it's as easy for us to lose the last 9 matches as it is for us to win in the last 9 matches. So technically it's just the same. So let's see how we go.
We're not mathematically safe, strictly speaking. Although not far from it, actually, believe it or not.
And that said, we're going to have to wrap this up now. So I'm going to say thank you so much, Kyle, for coming on, man. And we're definitely going to have you back on in some way, shape, or form.
Let's have Kyle tell us one more time where they meet on match day and what time and where we can get a hold of you and stuff like that.
You can find us on any social media at Fresno Irons. It's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on all 3. We're at Full Circle Brewing in downtown Fresno on 620 F Street. If you're in the area, come hang out. And one thing we always do as the Fresno Irons, if it's your first match watching with us, we got your beer.
Nice. Okay, well,
that's smart. That's awesome, man.
I probably should have mentioned that earlier. That's something that we did. So if it's your first time watching with us, we get your beer. So
that's a good reason for us to come to Fresno. You're selling me on Fresno.
I'm telling you, man. I'm down. Let's go.
You guys come on out. We'll take you to Yosemite. We'll take you down to Sequoia. We'll watch West Ham. We'll chop it up. We'll have a good old time.
Hey, Kyle, you've been awesome, man. You have been really awesome. I mean, so happy that you came on. Always good to talk to another native Texan displaced for whatever reason over the years. Even though you went the other direction, probably smarter than I was. You went to the other coast.
Hey, we both have made a lot of bad decisions, ended up in bad spots, right? We're always going to be Texans at heart.
That's true. But you've been fantastic, really fantastic. Really, really appreciate you being on, and we'll do this again sometime soon.
Yep, we will for sure.
I know we're at the end of the show. We should have done this at the beginning, but anybody who's watching still. Again, this weekend, send us your videos, your goal celebrations, your match reactions, match previews, whatever. Send us your videos. Send them to us, Twitter, Facebook, email at AmericanHammersTV@gmail.com. We want to put all this stuff on our channel so that we can all share this with each other. So, should have said that at the beginning, forgot it until the end. Anyway, there you go.
No, that's cool, man. And so Lee's going to be coming up on American West Ham podcast sometime, I think, this upcoming Sunday. So I don't know if it's going to be live or it airs on Monday. But Sunday he's gonna do the episode. I think it's going to air on Monday. I think that's how they do it. And I was on Irons United today, and I really wanted to shout out to them. Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. That was awesome, and
you killed it.
Thank you, brother, man. And we definitely going to do a lot more with them. Me and Lee are going to do a lot more with them in the future. So regularly. So please check them out. They're Irons United. So all you have to do is search Irons United. You can search it on, they're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Just like us, we share their stuff as well, so you can see it through us. Or you can go also subscribe to their channel. But please subscribe to our channel. Please spread the word for our channel. We're growing fast. We've only been doing this since the end of January. And, we're already almost at 150 subscribers, which is fantastic. So keep it up for us. Thank you so much. See you next week. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Nope. Wrong. Sunday. Big show on Sunday. Sorry. How can I forget this?
Still big.
New York City Hammers on Sunday.
The originals.
The original.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I've been looking forward to this ever since I've
heard they get rowdy.
Saw them on the calendar.
They get rowdy, so I'm looking forward to this. I've heard they get lively, so we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then we got.
Not only they get lively, that group. If it wasn't for them, none of us would be here in America. We got to give them the credit where credit's due. Those guys are awesome.
They are like the godfathers, man, of this whole ordeal, man. I love it so much. I'm so excited to have them on. And then we have Mile High Hammers from Denver on next Thursday, a week from today, which is going to be awesome. They got a nice group over there. And
why you gotta have me on? Why you gotta have me on before New York City Hammers? It's kind of like the Gettysburg Address. Nobody's gonna remember what I said.
No, it's gonna be awesome because we'll get a whole bunch of new people, and then they're gonna come check out the last episode because you're gonna be right there. And also, there's gonna be a link on this episode to that episode, and vice versa, and eventually, anyway. No, they'll check you out for sure, man. Plus, we're gonna be promoting the living daylights out of this over the next week or two. And like I said, we're gonna have you back in one way, shape, or form. We want to add more content to the show, a lot smaller stuff too, post-match reactions, all the stuff that Lee was talking about. You know, sending, take a video of yourself saying, during a goal celebration, before the pre-match, after match, whatever you want to do. Send us the content. Also, one thing I want to mention too that it kind of died off a little bit, but send us pictures of your West Ham tattoos, please. Everybody watching this, we're trying to make a big collage right now. We have maybe 12 to 15 photos, and 2 of them are mine. So anyway, please send them in. I would love to get a collage going on that and make something cool with it. All right. So West Ham till I die. Come on, you Irons.